Dear liberals, Trump won. Now what? We all saw as the results rolled in live on election day. In fact, we all sat with bated breath and great trepidation and anxiety as each state painfully rolled in one after another.
NBC projected Donald Trump will win the key battleground state of Wisconsin.
But for half of us, that knot in our stomach, the sense of dread and inevitability, turned to raucous joy and elation as all eyes on Pennsylvania turned to, we don't even need Pennsylvania. In fact, I was part of that half.
Well, of course I know him. He's me.
Yes, I am happy that Trump won. But here's the thing. Maybe you, the listener, don't know why this happened. How did the big, bad, evil Republicans take power in an America that you thought was willing, as Kamala Harris said?
The American people are ready to turn the page.
Well, I have 3 quick reasons that Trump won that maybe everyone else, like the Young Turks, Bernie Sanders on the left, and Ben Shapiro and Dana Lash on the right, haven't already covered ad nauseum. So even if one of you on the left out there sees this video and it helps you a little bit, then I will happily have accomplished my purpose. Because I'm the kind of person that believes constituents should be able to be served by their party. And really, I don't think the Democrat Party really represents its own constituents. But before I get into that, if you like this episode of Balanced Takes, like the video and hit that subscribe button so you never miss another video. And follow me on X, formerly Twitter, or, well, I'll go back in time and replace Carrie Lake with this handful of pre-eaten Cheez-Its. So Republicans would have had a chance to win that seat too. Seriously, I don't know why Arizona ran her again. But back to the reason you're here. Why did this happen? You may have already heard all the normal reasons. Trump supporters feel left behind, oppressed, betrayed by the system. The Democrat Party hasn't listened to their constituents, etc., etc. But I don't think those are the most important reasons. I think the primary problems are very fundamental. You see, most of the left thinks of the right as anti-science troglodytes who are incapable of adapting to or liking anything outside of their own. And don't get me wrong, that's some of us definitely are. But this blanket assumption has left a massive weakness in the left's logic. From a tactical standpoint, the left completely ignored the possibility of a coalition party and a coalition government running against them. They are so obsessed and focused on the possibility of a dictatorship, guttering of human rights, and of course, who is going to forget, literally Hitler. That they ignore the reality that Trump didn't end-run around the entire process. That is what Trump did. He saw a hole in the left's defense. He realized he wasn't going to win in any normal way. He was castigated as the worst possible Satan, so he just ignored all of their defense and calmly walked down the middle with a coalition of independents, former Democrats, and disaffected liberals. With people the likes of RFK, Elon Musk, and Tulsi Gabbard joining him, it was plain as day to see. But the left and the media were so obsessed with their paradigm that they missed it. They failed to serve you the truth and deny reality for their biases. The Democrat Party is not here for you. And that brings me to my next point. Kamala was simply awful. That's all it is to it. Kamala was awful. I'm sorry. You have to understand this. Kamala was awful and did not represent the people. In short, she represented the powers that be that lied to you about Joe Biden's health. Until, of course, it was no longer advantageous to continue lying to you because you saw on plain TV that clearly something was wrong. So instead, they installed Kamala Harris and then just kept lying to you, except now it's about Kamala's qualifications and her political acumen.
Hasn't it occurred to you how convenient this whole operation has been?
I remember when some of these discussions first started publicly, and there was some black guy in politics, I forgot what his name was. I think he was a former senator. He's supposed to be one of those kingmaker guys, right? You have to get his approval to go anywhere in their party or anywhere to do anything. And he got on cable news and demanded that if Biden were replaced, that he has to be replaced with Kamala Harris, or he won't give his endorsement because blah, 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 black vote. But you want to know something interesting? The black vote that he was supposed to be locking down for the Democrats didn't turn out for Kamala in their needed numbers. In fact, Biden in 2020 ended up doing better than Kamala among blacks, the actual supposed black candidate. And with black men specifically, a quarter of them who ended up voting for Donald Trump. And if you've been paying attention to these numbers in particular, you'd know that the black vote for Democrats has been on a steady downtrend since the election of Barack Obama. And unfortunately for the left, those numbers aren't going to come back. Once you lose them, they're gone. And this year, once they realized that Joe Biden was flailing, instead of an open primary, the system, the powers that be, ran a bunch of numbers, shuffled in some backroom deals, and decided that the worst candidate from the 2020 presidential primary was the best person to represent you. Aren't you feeling so excited right now?
Convenient this whole operation has been.
And that leads to my last point, which is the Democratic Party and the media overplayed their hand and lied to you repeatedly on every single issue. Accounts on X like Kamala's Wins or Ingrid Staffer were spinning up entire stories out of whole cloth about how Trump was old and failing, or how the latest minor incident had been proof of some cataclysmic affair. CNN and MSNBC spent thousands of hours serving you blatant lies about the very fine people hoax and the suckers and losers hearsay that any sane person that's paying attention knows is either a lie or at least not the whole story. People or organizations that appeal to your baser instincts of hatred and division, you know, the things that Democrats are always saying Republicans did, or at the very least this lazy gotcha style politics, are not worth your time.
Nope.
And while there are some annoying factions on the right, like Nick Fuentes and his anti-Semitic ilk, who the right battles constantly, the right typically doesn't wholesale embrace referring to large swaths of people, large groups of people, denominations, races, creeds, as Nazis or anything else. We would generally rather expend our energy to explain our positions instead of castigating you as some outsider or someone worthy of being an outcast or pariah. And if at the end of the day we disagree, that's fine. At least that dialogue exists and that channel is hopefully still open for the future. Because in the right, the vision for America is an America where factions can still talk to each other. Neighbors can still talk to each other. Husbands and wives aren't divided because one wanted to vote for one candidate, another wanted to vote for another candidate. Having them break up a family is just wrong. It's disgusting. Losing friends over politics just isn't worth the time. And we're saddened whenever we hear that. But that didn't exist very much on the left. That dialogue, that openness, that feeling that, yes, we disagree, but we're Americans. I'm sorry, but I don't feel it from you guys. And the powers that be are very much to blame for that. They set you up for failure, refuse to understand the shifting political landscape, and double down on political malpractice. Their candidate couldn't string sentences together to explain her own policies without mentioning Trump. I even heard reports that Kamala Harris' campaign had lifted policies directly from Donald Trump's website, including the HTML itself, and pasted it on her website because they were so desperate to get votes, but their candidate just couldn't articulate anything well enough to get through to people. And yet the media, the Democrat political complex, they wanted to keep it in a bubble where no possible alternative could win. This was the candidate. Kamala Harris was the second coming of Obama for women, because anyone that wasn't to the center, what they call the center anyway, or left on an issue was just too radical to possibly win in America. And as you now know, that was obviously a lie. Anyway, those are just my thoughts about the election. What are yours? Let me know your compliments or criticism in the comment section down below, and I'll see you again next time. Bye!